It was a cold night. The sky was full of stars, but something strange happened. A bright light shot across the sky, faster than any plane. It burned like fire, leaving a long trail of smoke behind it. Then boom! A loud crash shook the ground. Birds flew away. Dogs barked in the distance. Ray was sitting alone in his small cabin near the forest. He had no family, no close friends, just him and the quiet woods. But that night, the quiet was broken. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside. The air smelled like something was burning. A strange metallic smell. He looked toward the trees. There was smoke thick, black and rising. Ray didn't think twice. He picked up his coat and ran. The forest was dark, but he knew the path well. He moved fast, dodging trees and jumping over roots. As he got closer, he saw a strange glow, blue and white light, flickering like a broken lamp. His heart pounded in his chest. Then he saw it. A crash site. Something had fallen from the sky. It looked like a small ship, but broken and burning. Metal parts were everywhere. Pieces of glass and wires sparked on the ground. And then he heard a sound, not an animal, not a machine, a cry. Ray froze. It was soft, weak, like someone was hurt. He moved closer carefully. Behind a broken part of the ship, something was moving. He raised his flashlight and gasped. A girl, but not a normal girl. She was lying on the ground, shaking. She had no clothes, only a torn silver cloth around her. Her skin was smooth, a pale blue color. Her eyes glowed faintly, like tiny stars. She was hurt, her legs had cuts, and there were strange marks on her arms. She looked scared, confused, lost. Ray knelt beside her. She looked at him with wide eyes. She tried to speak, but the words made no sense. A strange language. Her voice was soft and broken. "It's okay," Ray whispered. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't understand. But she didn't move away either. Ray looked around. The ship was still burning. The fire was growing. He had to move fast. "I'll help you," he said. "Come with me." Slowly, carefully. He picked her up. She was too light for someone her size. She didn't fight him. She just held onto him weakly, her eyes never leaving his face. Ray ran back through the forest, holding the strange girl in his arms. He didn't stop until he reached his cabin. Inside, he placed her on his bed and covered her with a warm blanket. She curled up like a scared animal. He gave her water. She drank slowly, shaking with every sip. She tried to speak again. More strange words. She pointed at her head, then at the sky. Ray shook his head. "I don't understand." But he could feel her pain, her fear. She was not from here. She was alone, lost, and hunted. Outside, the wind blew hard, but Ray felt something else. A strange feeling, like someone was watching. He looked out the window. Nothing. He sat beside her. "Who are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. Her eyes closed. She was too tired to speak. She fell asleep quickly, still shaking. Ray stayed awake, watching her, thinking, where had she come from? What had happened to her? And who would come looking for her? Because someone would. He was sure of it. And when they did, Ray knew his quiet life would never be the same again. The girl woke up with a sharp breath, like she had been drowning. Her eyes opened wide, glowing faintly in the dark room. She sat up quickly, breathing fast, looking around the small cabin with fear in her face. Ray was already awake. He had been watching her all night. He didn't sleep, not even for a second. Something about her, something deep in his chest, told him this was important. More important than anything he had ever known. She stared at him, her eyes full of questions. But when she opened her mouth to speak, the words came out broken. Strange sounds. A language he didn't understand. "It's okay," Ray said gently, raising his hands. "You're safe here." She didn't understand, but she watched him closely. She looked around again. touching the blanket, the bed, the walls. Everything was new to her. Like a child seeing the world for the first time. Ray pointed to himself. "Ray," he said slowly. "My name is Ray." She stared for a moment, then tried to repeat it. Ray. He smiled. "Yes, Ray." She pointed at herself, then paused. Her mouth opened, but no name came. Her eyes looked lost. Ray leaned forward. "You don't remember, do you?" She shook her head slowly. Her fingers touched her temple, then she looked at him again. A small tear rolled down her cheek. She had no name. No past, nothing. Ray made her some food, simple soup. She looked at it with confusion, sniffed it, then slowly took a bite. Her hands were shaking. She was hungry, but cautious. She looked at every item in the room like it might be dangerous. Later, she walked around slowly, barefoot, touching the wooden walls, the old books on the shelf, the mirror. When she looked into the mirror, she froze. She touched her own face, like she was seeing it for the first time. Then she stepped back and turned away. Her reflection scared her. That night, something strange happened. Ray was sitting by the window, writing notes about her in an old notebook. He was trying to understand her look, her behavior, her strange language. But then, she made a sound. He turned around and saw her standing in the corner, her hands over her ears, her body shaking. She was whispering something again and again. The same words, over and over. He went to her and gently touched her shoulder. She turned quickly, her eyes glowing brighter now. She looked afraid, but not of Ray, afraid of something else. Something she could still hear. Something far away. She whispered a single word. "Nerea." Ray blinked. "Is that your name?" She looked confused, then she said it again. "Nerea." Ray wrote it down. Maybe it meant something. Maybe it was a place or a person. Or maybe it was her name. Later that night, Ray went outside. The sky was clear and the stars were out. He looked toward the forest. The crash site was quiet now, cold metal. Broken wires, but something felt wrong. There were no animals. No sounds, just silence. Then he saw small lights moving through the trees. Like flashlights, someone was searching the crash site. He went back inside quickly and locked the door. The girl was already standing near the window. She saw the lights too. She looked at Ray and whispered something in her strange language. This time, he understood the meaning even without the words. "They're coming." Asterisk, she screamed in her sleep. It wasn't a normal scream. It was sharp, deep, full of fear. Like something inside her was breaking. Ray jumped out of bed and ran to her side. She was shaking, her face wet with sweat, her hands gripping the blanket tight. Her mouth moved fast, whispering strange words in her alien language. Ray gently touched her arm. "Hey, it's okay. Wake up, you're safe." Her eyes opened suddenly, bright, glowing. She sat up fast, breathing like she had run for miles. Then she said one word, clear and strong. "Nerea." Ray froze. That word again. The same name she had said before. He had written it down. He had searched for it online, but nothing came up. No place. No person. Nothing. She looked at him, confused. Her body was still shaking. She didn't know where she was. For a few seconds, she looked like she didn't even know who she was. Ray sat beside her. "Do you remember? That name, Nerea, is that you?" She didn't answer. She just stared at the wall. That day, Ray decided to try something different. He took out old children's books, ones with simple words and pictures. He pointed at things and said the words. Chair, window, hand. She followed slowly, repeating, learning. Her voice was soft, but clear. Later she picked up a pencil and began drawing on an old notepad. Strange symbols, shapes Ray had never seen. It looked like writing, but not from Earth. She flipped the page and kept drawing. Circles, lines, stars. A ship. Then she drew something that made Ray stop. A lab. A cold, metal room. A table with straps. People standing around her, tall, dark shapes wearing masks. One held something sharp. Another stood behind glass, watching. She pointed at the picture, and then at herself. Ray understood. She was there. She had been trapped in that place. A test subject. He felt sick. What had they done to her? That night, Ray tried to learn more. He connected his old laptop to the internet and searched again. He looked for crash reports, secret bases, strange sightings, anything, nothing, until something happened. The screen blinked. Then turned black. A message appeared in white text. You are not alone. Ray stepped back, shocked. He didn't click anything. The laptop moved by itself. Another message appeared. She is not safe. You are not safe. Then it shut down completely. Ray stared at the screen. He heard a soft beep. His phone was ringing. No number, no name. He answered slowly. Hello, no voice. Just static. Then a whisper. Asterisk. They're coming for her. The line went dead. Ray ran to the window and looked outside. A black car was parked down the hill. By the trees, the engine was off. The lights were off. But someone was inside watching. Ray's heart beat faster. He closed the curtains and locked the doors. When he turned around, the girl was standing behind him. She had seen it too. Her eyes were wide. Her lips trembled. She pointed at the wall, then at herself, and said in a quiet voice, Danger. Ray nodded. I know. She didn't remember much. But she remembered fear, and fear was enough. The door wasn't open, but it wasn't locked either. Ray stood there, staring at the front door of his cabin. He always locked it. Always, but now, it was open just a crack. Just wide enough for someone to slip in. He stepped back, his breath caught in his throat. He didn't say a word. Just looked around the room. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. The girl, Nerea, if that was really her name, was sitting on the floor, drawing in the notebook again. But now she was still frozen. Her eyes weren't on the page anymore. They were fixed on the door. Ray moved slowly. He picked up the old hunting knife he kept near the table. His hands were shaking. Then he saw it. Something on the ground. A piece of black paper, folded, left just inside the door. He picked it up and unfolded it. 2 words. Written in red ink. Return her. No name, no threat. But the message was clear. He looked outside. No car. No lights. No sound. Whoever left it was long gone. Ray closed the door and locked it. Twice. Then he checked the windows. Then the back door. He didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. The next morning, they left. They didn't pack much. Just some food, water, and clothes. Ray didn't even tell anyone he was leaving. He didn't trust the phones, the internet. Nothing felt safe anymore. He drove for hours. Down empty roads, past dead towns. The girl sat beside him, silent, staring out the window. Once or twice, she whispered to herself. Ray didn't understand, but he listened. They ended up at an old farmhouse far from the city. It belonged to someone Ray once knew. The place was empty now, forgotten, but still standing. That night, while Ray lit a small fire, she started drawing. Again, but this time, she didn't draw spaceships or symbols. She drew a face, a man's face, cold, strong, eyes like ice. Wearing a black uniform, she stared at the picture for a long time. Then she pointed at it. Bad, she said. Ray looked at the drawing. Who is he? She didn't know how to say. She just tapped her chest, like she could feel the memory trapped inside. Ray touched the drawing. He hurt you? She nodded once. Then her eyes glowed brighter. Her hand trembled. The drawing started to burn. Ray pulled back in shock. There was no fire, no lighter, just her hand. And the heat coming from her skin. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just watched the paper turn to ash. The next day, they visited an old man who lived off-grid. Dr. Felix Ward. He was once a scientist for a secret project Ray had heard about years ago. The kind of project that didn't show up on news or history books. At first, Dr. Ward didn't believe Ray, but when he saw the girl, when he looked into her glowing eyes, he turned pale. "She's one of them," he said quietly. They said the program was shut down, that all the subjects were dead. Ray leaned forward. "What program?" Dr. Ward didn't look up. He just whispered, "Project Helix, a hybrid experiment. Human DNA mixed with alien genes, built in secret. Grown in labs used for testing." He looked at her. "She's not just from space. She was made here, on Earth." Ray felt cold. "You mean she's not real?" "Oh, she's real, Doctor," Ward said. "But she's not from one world. She's from two. That's what makes her dangerous." The girl stood still, listening. She didn't understand all the words, but she understood enough. She wasn't born. She was built. And the people who made her, they wanted her back. Ray looked at her. "You're not a weapon," he said. "You're a person." She didn't answer, but her eyes said everything. They were done running. Asterisk. She started drawing in her sleep. It was strange at first, just small movements, like her hand twitching on its own. But Ray noticed something. Each night her hand moved, with more purpose. By morning, the notepad beside her pillow was filled with symbols, circles, arrows, star maps. A pattern he couldn't read. But she could. One night, she suddenly opened her eyes. "Go," she said. Just one word, clear, strong. "Go where?" Ray asked. She pointed at the map she had drawn in her sleep. A long line through the forest, down a mountain, towards something marked with a black dot. Ray didn't argue. They left that morning. The journey wasn't easy. The forest was thick, full of thorns and mud. The rain poured. Their boots sank deep into the wet ground. But she kept walking, barely stopping, like something was pulling her forward. For 2 days they followed the path from her drawings. No GPS, no signs. Just her memory, or maybe something deeper. Like the forest itself remembered. Then they found it, hidden behind thick vines and rocks. Was a metal door. Old, rusty, but not dead. Ray touched it. It felt warm. The girl placed her hand flat on the surface. The door unlocked. They stepped into darkness. Inside was an underground base. Silent, cold, abandoned for years, but still alive in some strange way. Lights flickered on one by one as they moved through the halls. Ray whispered, "What is this place?" She didn't answer. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of shadows. They passed old labs, empty rooms, broken screens and dusty chairs, but then they found the chamber. It was round, wide, and filled with glowing tubes. Cryo-pods. Most were dark, empty, but some still held bodies, not human, not fully alien either. Like her, she stepped closer to one pod and placed her hand on the glass. "Ah!" Tear rolled down her cheek. Ray stood beside her, his voice low. "Were these like you?" She nodded. She looked around slowly. Then pointed at one of the control panels. Ray wiped off the dust and turned it on. The screen blinked to life. Old files loaded. Names, experiments, test results. And then a video. A girl, her strapped to a table, screaming. Men in black suits watching from behind glass. Voice speaking calmly. Subject 7 shows signs of accelerated learning. Emotional instability remains. Memory reset scheduled. Ray couldn't watch anymore. He turned it off. "She escaped," he whispered. "They tried to erase you, but you got out." She nodded again. But this time, there was something new in her eyes. Fire. Ray touched her shoulder. "You don't have to remember all this. We can go. We can hide." But she looked at him and said something he hadn't heard before. "No more hiding. Suddenly, alarms began to ring. Red lights flashed down the hall. She turned slowly toward the sound. Her face calm. Ray reached for his bag. How did they find us? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. She already knew they were coming. But this time, she was ready. The glass shattered before he could scream. Ray flew backward, thrown by the blast. Smoke filled the air. Sirens blared. Metal groaned all around him. He coughed, struggled to breathe, and looked up just in time to see them swarm in. Black helmets, heavy boots. Red lights on their weapons. They moved fast. Silent. Like machines. Ray tried to crawl toward her, but one of them grabbed him, slammed him down, and pressed a boot into his back. He saw her through the smoke. She stood, still. Unmov. Watching. Her silver hair blew gently in the heat from the fire. One of the soldiers stepped forward and aimed a shock rifle at her. She didn't flinch. He fired. Bolt of energy never touched her. It stopped in mid-air, floating, burning, and then it shattered into sparks. She raised her hand. Slowly, the room pulsed with light. Every soldier paused. Then she spoke. 3 words, not English. Not Earth language, but the walls heard it. The lights exploded. The ground shook. Ray couldn't see clearly, but he heard it. Metal tearing, boots crashing, men screaming. Something moved through the air like wind, but heavier, stronger, unseen. By the time Ray opened his eyes again, it was over. She stood alone, surrounded by silence. The soldiers were gone. Their weapons twisted. Their helmets melted. Ray crawled toward her. Are you okay? She turned to him slowly, her eyes different, now glowing brighter. Not cold, but ancient, powerful. I remember now, she whispered. He helped her up. What do you remember? Everything. They didn't stay long. The base was broken. The machines were failing. The cryopods were starting to crack. She walked past them all, not looking back, but she stopped in front of one. Inside was a boy, younger than her, same pale skin, same glowing eyes. She stared at him for a long time. He's like me, she said. But he didn't escape. Ray checked the control panel. The pod was still active, but unstable. The power was dying. She placed both hands on the glass. Soft hum filled the room. Then the pod went dark, but the boy's eyes opened. He gasped for air. Ray stepped back. You brought him back? She nodded once. He's my brother. The boy didn't speak. He just looked at her, confused, scared. She held his hand. It's okay, she whispered. We're not alone now. But the moment was short. Another screen came to life on its own. A face appeared. Cold. Familiar. The same man from the drawing. The one with the ice eyes. Subject 7, he said. His voice was calm. You've grown. Ray stood in front of the screen. Who are you? I made her, the man replied. And I will take her back. The screen blinked out. No location. No warning, but she already knew. They're coming again, she said. But next time, I won't run. Ray looked at her. At the boy. Then, at the broken world behind them. The final battle wasn't here, but it was coming, and she would be ready. The sky turned black at noon. Clouds gathered fast, like they were being pulled in by something unseen. Thunder rumbled deep underground. Birds vanished. Trees stood still. The air was thick, heavy, like it was waiting for something terrible. To begin, Ray stood on the hilltop watching. The farmhouse was behind him. Beside him stood the girl. And now, the boy. Her brother. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They felt it coming. Down the road, far in the distance, black shapes began to appear. Helicopters, trucks, drones flying low like vultures. She closed her eyes. Soft glow spread across her skin. Ray stepped closer. We can run. There's still time. She looked at him. Calm. No more running. The boy held her hand tightly. He was scared, but something inside him had started to wake. A spark, just like hers. Ray watched her turn toward the storm. I can stop them, she said, but it will cost me everything. What do you mean? She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward, down the hill. Alone. The wind screamed as the first wave arrived. Armed soldiers. Drones with burning red eyes. The same voice echoed across speakers. Subject 7, surrender. This is your last chance. She didn't stop walking. She raised one hand and the ground cracked open. Light poured from her fingers, wrapping around her like armor. One drone fired. She caught the shot midair, turned it into dust, and let it blow away in the wind. More soldiers came. She moved faster. A wall of light slammed into them, knocking weapons from their hands, freezing them in place. But then, a new sound, a sharp hum. High above them, a new ship hovered. Sleek, silent, black. The man stepped out, the one from the video. The one with the ice eyes. Ray could feel the air change as he walked forward. I gave you life, he said. You were meant to serve, not think. She stared at him. You made a mistake, he smiled. You can't win. She looked back at Ray, at the boy, then forward again. I already did. She closed her eyes and let go. A wave of energy exploded. From her chest, quiet at first, like a breath, but then it grew faster, brighter. It moved through the soldiers, the drones, the ship, and the man. All of them stopped, frozen in place. The machines died. The weapons fell. The ship cracked in two, floating gently to the ground like paper. Ray tried to run to her, but he couldn't move. The light was too strong, too powerful. She stood in the center of it, glowing like a star. And then, silence. The light faded. Ray opened his eyes. She was gone. Just the wind now, and the boy still standing, unharmed. Ray dropped to his knees. He felt empty. But then, something touched his shoulder. A whisper, soft, familiar. I'm still here. He looked up. No one was there, but the wind carried her voice. The boy stood quietly, staring at the sky. Ray stood beside him, and together, they watched the clouds begin to break. For the first time in days, sunlight touched the earth again.